Awo, Shalom, Rastafari, Salam Tanat, Aina Aling. This is Wendem Iada. This is Ras Iadonis Tafari of the line of Judah Society of His Imperial Majesty. And we want to speak on the Trinity. The Trinity. What is the Trinity? Right? Really, what is the faith of His Imperial Majesty? What is the faith of we as Rastafari? The true faith. The unadulterated, unapologetic, unabbreviated, you understand, faith of His Imperial Majesty. If His Majesty is who He says He is, and we as Rastafari are who we say we are, we're going to have to grow. Right? We have to grow in our knowledge. You shall know the truth, and it's the truth that sets us free. Right? His Majesty speaks to us about the Bible. Well, we know that we have these Bibles in English, right? But still, even from an English perspective, we still can do much more study than we do, right? To study, to know the truth, right? To know the truth for I and ourselves. Now, brothers and sisters, one thing I noticed that was interesting, and we have some Ethiopic documents, but even what we already have in English, we need to scrutinize it much deeper, right? Much deeper for ourselves. One of the first of the mysteries, right? There are 5 pillars of mystery, according to what's known as the Ethiopian Orthodox or the Tewahedo faith. There are 5 pillars of mystery. Now, the Amarinya, coming from the Ge'ez, let me get this particular book right here, and we're going to have to translate where necessary. It's called the Amistu Imade Mistir, right, or the 5 pillars, right, the 5 pillars of mystery, right. We could call this the 5 pillars of the Tewahedo faith. One is the Mistire Selassie, or the mystery of the Trinity. The next is the Mistire Sagawe, the mystery of incarnation. Thirdly is the Mistire Timket, the mystery of baptism. Then we have the Mistire Kurban, the mystery of sacrament. Then we have, lastly but not leastly, by no stretch of any imagination, vain or otherwise, we have the Mistire Tinsae Mutan, which is the mystery of the resurrection of the dead. Now, what I always found interesting is that the first of the pillars of the 5, keep that number in mind, 5. Mr. 5 by 5, Kedamawi, Haile Selassie, Revelation 5 by 5 and 5. But there's a much deeper Kabbalistic mystery of that. I hesitate to say that because most folks are going to, it's like the whole Jesus, right, versus Jesus, right? It's more than just word sound, but it's really the power. It's really the essence, getting to the essence of the matter. So I want to do a series on some of the basic teachings or things that I've learned, right? And they've become part of my personal practice, and I've seen myself even grow, you understand, beyond, certain things that I thought was me. We think that, we are who we say we are. But our true identification, right? Our true identification must be in Moshiach, must be in Messiah, in our black Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, not from just the outer level. In fact, we have been mentioning this and teaching on it a little bit here and there, is that, that every form of the black Christ that does not lead to Christ and His kingly character and the true teaching of His Majesty, even though they may be correct about His color, they're still dealing with the outer, right? They're still dealing with the flesh. They haven't gotten past that veil of the flesh. So when we speak about Yeshua, Jesus being black, this is just a basic fact, right? This is just basic truth. right? And it's not us who have whitewashed the true image of the Son of God, but it's others, whether knowingly or unknowingly, right? So we just minister to that basic truth there, but our salvation is not just based on the fact that he is black, right? It's not just based on that fact. That is, on a basic level, that's just fact number one, right? I think it's a major fact, and it's a factor, right, in the salvation, not just of I and what we may call the black redemption, but all humanity, right? All humanity from this insanity that we know as Babylon, confusion. So there's a lot of confusion concerning the Trinity, right? But how many of y'all, as Rastafari, truly have studied the teaching of the Trinity from the Ethiopic, from our ancient Ethiopian church perspective? I say ancient because there's a lot of modern Ethiopian churches in which has crept in, right? Contrary doctrine and whitewashing of images, so forth and so on. So we have to beware not just of the overt whitewashing of the images of Jesus Christos and the image of the mother of our black Lord and Savior, the Black Madonna, right? Makes sense, Black Lord and Savior, because Madonna is black as well. You know, so our race and racial identity does not give us any automatic salvation, but to whom more is given, brothers and sisters, more is required. So in this particular series, we want to touch on some of the basic aspects of our faith, right? The basic aspect. And I found it interesting that in the Mistu Made Mystir, or the 5 pillars of mystery, that the first of these 5 pillars of mystery, very interestingly enough, let me bring this right here, right? Very interestingly enough, you see this right here, right? This is the Mystere Selassie, right? Mystere Selassie. And it begins off by saying, Yemai Tayina, Yemai Meremer Hulu Madre, Yemichel, Yemitaya Winema, Yamataya Winema, Fitret Hulu, Yefetere, Yikrita Winna, Chernetu, Yala Tewasene, Lezele Olem, Yeminor, Mejamaria Winna, Mechereshau, Yemai Tawek, Yemaya Meremer, and Amlak Menorun Inamanale. Right? So it begins off with that right there, and then it's a series of questions. Right? Questions and answers. Now we know the teaching of His Majesty, he says to us that it's more than just the questions and answers. Right? The questions and answers, once you study to know the truth for yourself, these questions and answers are good reminders. This is like a catechumen right here. Ethiopic catechumen, and this is one of the books, like a little fat book. You can see this right here, right here, and it's the Metzhafe Tzelot, where Mezgebe Tzelot. It's the book of prayer, and it's a treasury of prayers, and it says Be Amarinya in Amharic. Now, when we talk about the teachings, right, the Ethiopic teachings, this is essentially what we're referring to, along with the Bible, right? Along with the Bible. So the first pillar of mystery is the mystery of the Trinity. Well, how very interesting, right? How very interesting. The first power of the Trinity, our Father, the King of Kings of Ethiopia. We would think that the Ethiopians would have gotten it. Some did. But unfortunately, many of the careless ones were careless. But that is that. We can learn from that, as we can also learn from our ancestors, right? That my people perish, right, are destroyed. They perish because of a lack of knowledge. So let's get into this knowledge in Rastafari College, all right? So let's touch on the first pillar of the mystery, right? And that is the mystery of the Trinity, right? And the true Trinity. What is the true Selassie, right? What is the Trinity? We say often that man is a Trinity. man was made in the image and after the likeness of the true God of Ha-Elohim. So we are made in the image. In what sense